Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Evolve Wellness Experience. Dr. Bill Jensen here, and today I have another amazing guest for you to listen to. And this gentleman is going to be talking about meditation, but within meditation, he's developed a way that's tech-assisted meditation. So it's going to make it a lot easier for you to get into meditation so you don't have to practice for years and years and years in order to experience the benefits of it. And so hang on, it's going to be a great show, and you're going to learn a lot about this, I promise you. All right, well, welcome back. It's good to be back on another episode of the Evolve Wellness Experience. My guest today is a relaxation expert and technologist on a quest to help humanity achieve a deeper sense of inner calmness through the use of sound and vibration technology. He is a vibroacoustic therapy practitioner, and his work is actually backed up by 40 plus years of research showing the many benefits of this type of therapy based on technical acoustics and vibration technology. He is also a patented inventor. That's a lot smarter than I am, I can promise you that. He's constantly exploring new ways to use sound and vibration to help people reduce stress and anxiety, to heal, and to transform their lives for the better. In 2016, he co-founded inHarmony Interactive, which has now released an inHarmony meditation cushion, solidifying the company's position in the tech-assisted meditation movement. He's passionate about his work and truly believes in his ability to provide a path toward a more peaceful and fulfilling life. And that man is none other than Craig Goldberg. Craig, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me here, Doc. I'm super grateful and looking forward to this conversation.
Awesome, man. Well, talking about a vibroacoustic therapy practitioner, tell us a little bit about what that particular type of practitioner really is.
Big word, powerful title.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Look, vibroacoustic, vibro vibration, acoustic is sound. So we're talking about sound and vibration and its impact on our physiology, our neurology, our anatomy, and how our body interacts with sound throughout the course of the day. And then, of course, how here at inHarmony, how we can harness that process to bring the body back into balance, calm and relax the nervous system, and dive into parasympathetic more often than sympathetic.
Yeah, which we're definitely in a sympathetic dominant neurological response, like 24/7, obviously, in today's age.
I got a 3.5-year-old. I find myself in a sympathetic nervous system response more often than not.
I suppose
and her too. It's really, I actually teared up as I just said that because this morning was a particularly difficult morning. I'm as chill and balanced as it can possibly be. And there is something about our kids that can pull us into that sympathetic nervous system response. And I know what's happening. I'm familiar with the process. I can see the nonverbal cues from the body, from me and from her. And it's a really important conversation. I'm excited to dive into it, to talk about exactly why that is and what's happening here in the United States and beyond, and why I think it's so detrimental to our health and such an important conversation for us to be having.
No doubt about that. Well, I guess obviously a place to always start as far as like listeners, like they're probably thinking like, all right, a vibroacoustic practitioner, therapy practitioner, it's a big complicated word, but I know what that means. Like, how did you like get drawn into this space, and like, what's your background?
I appreciate that. So look, I'm a human, 44 years old. I've been living life here in the United States since the day I was born. I'm an entrepreneur, 25 years. I started working full time when I was 19 in New York City. It's a town built on stress and anxiety. I didn't know it back then. I didn't realize what I was doing to self-medicate. I didn't realize what I was doing to manage stress. I was kind of unconscious about it. And about 10 years ago, my wife got sick, a little more at this point, and modern medicine just couldn't really give us any solutions, no diagnoses, couldn't tell us what was going on. In the end, it wound up being gluten. And by removing gluten from her diet, 72 hours later, all of her symptoms went away. And my wife and I began to dive into truly understanding how the body operates, how we get access and break down vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, what that stress response looks like, and what the symptoms associated with it are, which are quite horrific. In a sympathetic nervous system response, as you know, and your listeners might, you're really ill-equipped to handle the day-to-day trials and tribulations in this beautiful society and culture that we have co-created. You're welcome and thank you. And it it really catalyzed a deep dive into understanding the body, how it functions, and when it functions optimally, and how to create an environment where your body has the opportunity to operate optimally. And many of us are operating with one or two hands tied behind our backs, our body, as far as homeostasis and balance and just daily maintenance tasks like detoxification pathways. And when you start to open up Pandora's box and really understand how the body operates, you start to realize just how bad it really is when you're stressed and anxious. And the statistics don't lie, and it's unfortunate and it's worth mentioning, but of the top 10 reasons for all-cause mortality here in the United States, 6 of them are rooted in stress and anxiety. You remove the stress and anxiety, those 6 reasons for death pretty much go away. There's obviously exceptions to all of that, but generally speaking, we're talking about the next major pandemic, which can be coupled and paired into and grouped into mental health. The reality is it's stress and anxiety, and it's spending too much time in a sympathetic nervous system response, and finding solutions that can help you get into that parasympathetic to increase your functionality, and those running those maintenance tasks day in and day out, which I love to, and I hope we can dive into.
Mm-hmm. That's like one of the things, and I wanted to probably get your opinion on that particular situation. Obviously we just came out of a pandemic, and now, all of a sudden I see in the news these days that they're starting to ramp back up the fear and the anxiety in people, and there's a new variant, and I see some of my patients who are calling out sick. They've got COVID. It doesn't seem to be as severe as Delta and things like that right now, but nonetheless, that fear and anxiety starting to ramp back up in the population in general. That being put aside, like, in your opinion, why do you feel at this stage of the game there's so many people out there that are super, super stressed out, very, very anxious in their lives, and it's really so negatively affecting their health right now?
Yeah, look, there's a variety of different reasons why. We were just talking, I don't know if we were recording or not. I was talking about me having a 3.5-year-old and the stress and anxiety that comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's life and culture. It's society. I have an amazing wife. We're together 15 years. That relationship takes time and effort. I've got this budding, growing business. It takes time and effort. I have a business partner who's incredible, best relationship from a business perspective I've ever been in. And that relationship takes time and effort. There's a lot of demands on our time and our attention. And I've got a honey-do list. I just moved into a new house. As I kind of look around at my white walls that don't have really anything hanging on them yet, there's an endless to-do list that we have. And life is constantly throwing at us more things to do. And we're constantly jockeying that priority list of what's going to get done today. We can only do one thing at a time. I know we can multitask, and some of us are quite proficient at that. And that's another conversation. But regardless, you're really getting one thing done at a time. And it's this priority game that we play of figuring out what I can do with my time in that moment. And the brain, which is constantly evaluating your environment, the nervous system, which is constantly sending signals to the brain, is keeping us focused on what you need to do as well as what you're doing at the same time. And it keeps for me, it keeps a low level of anxiety kind of running in the background. Mm-hmm. And if you know this as well as I do, if you're feeling stress and anxiety, your body is in some form of fight or flight, some form of your sympathetic nervous system is activated. And that response is really designed to put you into survival mode. And when you're in survival, and look, rightfully so, you get an email on a Friday afternoon that your division is being closed and the company is laying off, your livelihood is threatened. There's a survival mechanism that needs to kick in. However, the physical survival mechanism associated with the sympathetic nervous system response is not always what is best serving you in that moment. And I say that because there is a chemical cascade that happens when your nervous system evaluates a threat, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, whatever. Cortisol and adrenaline begin to flood through the bloodstream. And now you're in that sympathetic nervous system response, which pushes blood flow to the major muscle groups of the body so you can defend yourself or run. If it's not a physical threat, that's not serving you. Rational thought can be turned off. Your immune system can be turned off. Your digestive system can be turned off. Your reproductive organs can be turned off. All of this is in an effort to flood power, energy, and strength to the survival mechanism in the body. And I camp a lot. I sleep in places where most people aren't around. It's just me and the forest and the animals. And when I'm laying in my tent and I hear a stick crack outside, that's what that sympathetic nervous system is designed for. A predator is approaching. There's some kind of threat that I need to evaluate. I want that power and that strength. The emotional duress that we're under day in and day out, and it could be simple things like I'm driving to work and I have a 1 o'clock appointment and there's traffic on my route and I'm now going to be running late. That can send you into a tailspin and exacerbate the situation instead of you staying cool, calm, and collected of like, just going to send a text, hey, I'm a couple minutes late, traffic on my way, all's going to be fine. And instead, the mind begins to really play tricks on you in a way to make matters worse than they actually are because you're lacking some of the basic tools that we need to evaluate these situations because you're stressed and anxious. Waking up on the wrong side of the bed, it exacerbates that day's stress levels, and the littlest thing can set you off into a tailspin where you can't think rationally about what you've got going on. You can't tend to the situation. And we all have a friend that's cool, calm, and collected in the face of danger and in the face of stress. A lot of my friends look at me that way. They're like, you're always so level-headed. You're always so calm and relaxed. And that is a practice. That is a process. My sympathetic nervous system responds the same way that other folks do. However, I have trained it through mindfulness, through meditation, through vibroacoustics to stay calmer longer before being triggered. And just the word trigger for a lot of people listening might trigger their sympathetic nervous system response. The emotional side of things, I think, is very real as well. Your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, your brother, sister, aunt, uncle that's still doing that thing over and over and over again. Your best friend that is getting together with that ex again, even though they did such disastrous things the last 3 times they've been in that situation. I say all of these different examples because I think they're very real examples of how the nervous system can be triggered both physically, emotionally, mentally, and then forget about sleep and lack of sleep and what that does to how your body operates day in and day out. And we're left with this scenario that's just compounding on itself. And the body is, and you see this, I'm sure, a lot in your practice, the body is living and staying in that state of a sympathetic nervous system response. And when that happens day after day, week after week, month after month, you're really opening the door for dis-ease because your body is not running those regular maintenance tasks like autophagy and killing off cells and opening the detox pathways. And if you're constantly in that survival mode for whatever reason, valid or invalid, your body is not doing the things it needs to do to so beautifully maintain itself as it's designed to do. And yeah, there's just a lot there to unpack.
That was a lot to unpack, all right. But it like every single thing that you had just mentioned, like resonated like so big time with me because I go, obviously as a chiropractic physician, everybody's like, oh, you take care of neck and your back pain. Well, okay. Well, what are some of the influencers when it comes to neck and back pain besides a mechanical issue with your neck or your back, right? You talk about stress, right? Everybody always like, I just seem to carry my stress in my shoulders. And I say, well, yes. And then there's, I go out and I lecture a lot of times, and a lot of the lecture topics, I have all these different lecture topics, and I say, hey, what do you feel lecture wise would be appropriate for your audience? Like 9 times out of 10, everybody picks my topic, stress proof your life. Like that's the number one thing people want to hear about and talk about, like, oh yeah, we're so stressed out, we want to do that. But one of the things I talk about in that lecture is that stress in and of itself is only bad if your body can't effectively cope with the stress. And we are so sympathetic dominant. Like that side of our nervous system is freaking so strong and so dominant in so many instances that the parasympathetic side of the coin is like shriveled up and weak. And that's where you said are, the cool, calm, collected person, and the example I give, like going to run a mile, right? Like if I ran a mile like every single day, right? And then somebody comes up and never runs a mile, like we're both under the same amount of physical stress to run the mile. It's just that my body's in shape to handle the mile, and conditioning. And so
Yeah.
when it comes to strengthening the parasympathetic nervous system, I think that is like the number one way that you can effectively manage. If, like I always say in my lecture, like rule number one, if you have a negative stressor in your life that's affecting you negatively, try to eliminate that. If you can't eliminate that and you're like, I have to go to work and I have to do that task as a air traffic controller, that's a super, super high stress job, and I'm going to have anxious and stress and depression as a result of it, then I better figure out a better way to effectively cope with that stressor that I'm under. And that obviously in my head is, let's do things that are more parasympathetic dominant nature. So is that basically why you've designed the technology that you have, is in order to give people a tool to meditate and start to strengthen that division? And how does that work then?
It's a hack. You brought it up. You said it beautifully. And it's that conditioning. Just as you can condition your physical body, you can condition the mental, emotional, spiritual, and the nervous system to be stronger. So if one area is dominant, then just like if my triceps are dominant, well, I can work out my biceps and I can counteract that. And my entire arm gets bigger. And even though my triceps are under duress, my biceps are going to stay conditioned and stay acclimated to that. Mm-hmm. There's an important, I think, part of this conversation that doesn't get spoken about very often. And that's the neurohormonal aspect of the nervous system as well. I look at it, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're the expert here, but I look at it as a pie chart in thirds. Third of your time in sympathetic, third of your time in parasympathetic, third of your time in neurohormonal, which is I describe as the backup system for backfilling parasympathetic and sympathetic energy levels. And if you're, and a lot of folks, so I use an HRV system to, it looks at 9 different aspects of your heart rate variability. And it shows in a pie chart exactly how much time at that moment your nervous system through different stimuli is moving from, into, and out of these 3 different main nervous system responses. And a lot of folks are pulling on their backup system. Even as I say that, I'm thinking about my night's sleep last night, which included me getting woken up at 1 o'clock in the morning to go sleep next to my daughter because we're in a new house, and her foot digging into the side of my head, and she's sleeping because I'm looking at her and she's out, and I'm obviously awake, and what that did in a cascade of events for my morning, getting her off to Montessori this morning, and my wife for that matter, and how that set me up for success or failure, and some challenges that are presented for me and my wife as well. Downtime as important as uptime. And to get back to what you had just said around what we do at inHarmony, our sound lounge, our practitioner, and our meditation cushion for that matter, it gives the body rest. And rest can be evaluated and described and measured in lots of different ways. I like to do it through brainwave states and spending time in an alpha or theta brainwave state as we go in and out of that throughout our sleep cycles. And the brain needs time in each of these brainwave states in order for it to do those regenerative tasks, the rejuvenative tasks. And that, again, comes down to conditioning that parasympathetic. What our technology does is it uses sound and vibration to take you and guide your body without your thoughts in a very passive and relaxing way into that parasympathetic nervous system response. And it makes you spend time there. So wow. The story goes, and the science is interesting for me, but 20 minutes in theta is equivalent to, I've heard it, anywhere from 4 hours to 8 hours of sleep. So in a 22-minute sound lounge session or on a cushion or listening to a music meditation, relaxing in a recliner, we can take you into that parasympathetic or that theta brainwave state and hold you there for a certain period of time. Mm-hmm. And that allows the body and the brain, which doesn't know anything except I'm in theta, here's what I need to do. It allows it to run those maintenance tasks, to cleanse, to clear the desk, to organize itself so that you can be better positioned, stronger, and more powerful when you are in that sympathetic nervous system response.
Mm-hmm. What's the major difference I'm only familiar, obviously, with using like binaural beats in order to, kind of get into that theta brainwave. Is that something similar on the acoustic side of your, or the just
Yeah.
the?
So let's just break down binaural beats real quick. Left ear hearing one frequency, right ear hearing another frequency. I flipped that over, but you get the point.
Mhm.
Within a 10 hertz variance, and a hertz is just a frequency and the number of oscillations per second, or the number of waves. Anyway, if I'm listening to 100 hertz in my right ear and 110 hertz in my left ear, my brain creates a third, and it links and brings your hemispheres together in order for it to do that. So it's really positive for the brain.
Mhm.
It also occupies the brain, and that brings you into that theta brainwave state. That's part of what we do. Isochronic tones is another way that we can do brainwave entrainment. We have a great partnership with BrainTap that's been really powerful for us as well.
I have
That
brain
dives
tap.
even deeper. Absolutely incredible
Super cool.
technology.
Hmm.
And our technology pairs with that. We have 140 tracks in their app that drive both the BrainTap headset and the inHarmony Sound Lounge Practitioner or meditation cushion. So you can actually listen to that using the headset, getting the brainwave entrainment the whole nine. It's really something spectacular. Binaural beats, a powerful tool, as well as sound and vibration. Now, when you're laying on our technology or sitting on the cushion, you are both feeling the frequencies coming through the tactile transducers, which we can talk about, and I can show an example for those that are watching on video,
Hmm.
and hearing. So that in the brain, all of a sudden, the brain is receiving all these stimuli from the mechanoreceptors in your skin and the auditory nerve, and that's what creates this three-dimensional, fully immersive experience. The brain kind of just takes a back seat and drops into that alpha, theta, sometimes delta brainwave state, and we can even get you into gamma above that. We're just guiding your brain, and the brain knows what to do. So it's a very easy and passive way, and it feels great
Hmm.
to relax and ease into those different brainwave states, given all of those external stimuli, which, by the way, I'm not changing any of those external stimuli. So you sit down for your sound lounge session, you get up, you still have to deal with the job, the mother-in-law, the brother-in-law, the spouse, whatever. You still have to deal with those scenarios, but hopefully now you are cool, calm, and collected, rested and recharged, and better able to deal with those scenarios, and maybe make some better decisions in those scenarios as well, to pull those human weeds if you can, to change jobs, to gain the courage and the strength you need to start a side hustle at night, whatever it might be. There's lots of different ways to get out of lots of different scenarios that we find ourselves in. And what's important here, I think, is that, and most people miss, rest and relaxation is as important as the times when we're on and getting at it. And of course, elite athletes know this, Olympians know this, not just weekend warriors that are training and conditioning their bodies during the week, but elite athletes know that they're going to push their bodies as hard as they can, and then they need to rest as deeply and as concisely as they can and efficiently as they can, so that they can get back out there and do it again.
Yeah, I was fascinated one time when I was seeing sleep requirements based upon, infants, toddlers, teenagers, adults, elderly, and then one like side note was like professional athletes, like the hardcore athletes, and they require like 12 hours of sleep. And then in my head, I was like, how are they possibly getting 12 hours of sleep when you talk about like the travel, right? On, traveling wherever they're traveling, right? And the games and the warm-ups and the cool downs and the interviews. And I was just, and then I think in that particular instance, when I was reading about, they were talking about like hacking it, like getting into using a binaural beat, for an example, or something like your system, in order to hack and get that extra several hours of sleep without even, in 20 to 30 minutes, essentially.
Look, it's not even so. I work with a bunch of guys in the NFL, and a bunch of Olympians, and a lot of folks have our tech that are on that elite athlete side of things. And part of my role as a vibroacoustic therapy practitioner, right? Not the manufacturer and the evangelist for the technology and the things that I do, but when I'm actually working with somebody that has purchased our tech and is asking me for advice, I'm asking questions. Tell me about your lifestyle. Here's what's really interesting. When NFL players are in season, the demands on their time, just from the logistics of what they need to do to travel to a new city, the practice, the game day, all of that, it's really unreal. And it's not just elite athletes. Look, I work with some big name DJs here in town. They're flying all over the world for DJ sets. and they have to find downtime. Some of them are lucky enough to fly private, and that makes things a lot easier because they can have their technology and they can use the inHarmony Sound Lounge at 40,000 feet, which happens. They could use BrainTap and access to other technologies. Look, cold therapy, hot therapy, red light therapy, infrared heat. There are so many technologies now that are coming of age and really coming to light that aren't only used by elite athletes or folks that are focused on optimal human performance. Entrepreneurs are using our technology. We have sound lounges in executive offices. We have sound lounges that are in nap rooms and meditation rooms that are starting to pop up, not just at Google, Facebook. Salesforce was a big company that started to do this, Twitter. But now they're starting to pop up I'm a member of Entrepreneurs Organization. I know plenty of entrepreneurs that use this for their small offices that have meditation cushions sent to remote workers so that they have access to this technology and can use that throughout their day in their home. There's a lot of folks that are focused on maximizing output. And to your point, the more downtime you have, the more time you can spend in an alpha, theta, and delta brainwave state. That's where the hack really starts to come in. That's where you can start to maximize your return. And there's plenty of times where I didn't get enough sleep and I've got an event that I need to be on for 6-8 hours, and I'll jump on my technology beforehand so that I can get a recharge, or I'll get to an event, I'll set it up before doors open, and they're like, "Where's Craig?" And he's on the Sound Lounge, enjoying a session. I tell people a lot, I selfishly created this company so that I have access to my technology and the music that we create because I use it every day. I'm a huge fan of what we do, and I use it to maximize my potential as a father, as a husband, as a business owner and a business partner. Really important part of getting after it.
Yeah, there's two levels I operate on. Number one, you want to be healthy. That's kind of first and foremost why I'm in the business. I'm in the business. You're a practitioner. That's why you're in the business, like you said. But then in addition to that, I want optimization and performance at the same. I don't want to just like get through the day. I want to like excel at the day. And so, one of the things, and reasons, like, I don't even know if a lot of my listeners understand, like, why is this called the Evolve Wellness Experience, right? And it's really because I truly believe, just this topic is the perfect example. Our nervous systems and our bodies are still in a caveman situation, and yet we're living in a very advanced, technologically super fast pace situation where, in our rest cycles and sleep cycles are designed like sun goes down, go to bed, sun comes up, wake up, and that's not the society we live in anymore. Exposed to blue light and stuff 16, 17 hours a day and crazy lifestyles and technology and everything. So we now have to embrace technology like this in order to help our caveman bodies and nervous systems cope with the overload of technology and stress in our lives. Otherwise, we get sick and unhealthy and we don't function and optimate well.
You hit the nail on the head. There's 4 lights shining on me right now. Right. And I'll work well into the evening here at my desk, and I change the lights to red hues and we do all those things. You hit the nail on the head. Just 200 years ago, we were concerned about waking up the next day. That was like a real threat, right? Am I going to have food? Am I going to have water? My grandfather was a butcher. My mom's dad was a butcher. And when he was beginning his business, they only had an ice box. There was no refrigeration for long-term food storage. So finding food, keeping it cold, staying healthy was far harder 200 years ago than it was today. Today, I sit here in a beautifully air-conditioned house. It's 91 degrees outside, which is nice and cool here in Vegas. Mm-hmm. And I'm very comfortable. My front door is locked, but the odds of somebody coming through that front door to threaten my life are minuscule at best. I suppose there's a chance, but we live in very safe environments, and our nervous system, to your point, has not evolved to accept that and to respond accordingly. And therefore, it gets triggered for what it misinterprets as life-threatening, putting us into that sympathetic nervous system response. We do quite a bit of online marketing and quite a little bit of online advertising, especially when it comes to our meditation cushion, mindfulness, and meditation. And this term tech-assisted meditation is one that I really need to start to hammer home for the purpose and for the point that you just mentioned, which is we need these technologies to keep up with and cope with the environment that we're in right now. You don't need my tech to meditate. I want the quote to be out there. Cut this as a snippet, right? Like you don't need a $700 meditation cushion with vibroacoustics to meditate. You can go outside, put your feet in the grass, close your eyes, and you can meditate without it. Unless your nervous system is so jacked up and dysregulated that you can't drop in. You can't get out of a beta brainwave. You can't get out of that task list, that to-do list, that threat that is ominous in some ways and not nearly as intense or life-threatening as your nervous system perceives it to be. So using sound and vibration and these other technologies that we've mentioned, it helps to regulate your nervous system correctly. And then once you have that regulated nervous system, once you're moving out of sympathetic and parasympathetic neurohormonal on a regular basis, and you have that even keel, then you can put your feet in the grass, close your eyes to meditate, and you don't need our technology to do so until the nervous system misfires, that existential threat and that angst that we feel day in and day out begins to creep back, and you go, you know what? I need to throw some technology at this. I need to drop back in and retrain the nervous system. So it's a process. When I first gained access to my sound lounge and our technology 6.5 years ago, I was on it 3 times a day. I woke up in the morning, I got on it. At some point during the day, I'd want a session. And then at night before I went to bed, I was back on it again. Now I'm probably on it 5 times a week between the sound lounge and the practitioner. I'm lucky enough to get body work on our practitioner rather. I'm on the sound lounge and the meditation cushion on a regular basis. And I get body work on my practitioner twice a month, 90 minutes, listening to a music meditation while an incredible human being puts their hands on my body and gets me back into shape. I'm getting regular chiropractic adjustments, not just as needed, but every 2 weeks I'm getting an adjustment. And more often than that, if subluxation comes up, if I fly in an airplane, if I slept wrong, if insert lifestyle issue here, and we need to have tools. We need to have arrows in our quiver that we can reach to and pull on to help us through specific happenstances and specific issues. And having a team of incredible human beings around me that have the knowledge, the expertise, the coaching, the guidance is part and parcel. And then having technology that can help me with that is the other piece to the puzzle.
Right on. 2 words you keep bringing up, and I just help the listeners identify the difference between the two: the sound lounge versus the meditation cushion. What are the differences between the two?
So inHarmony Interactive, we have 4 different products, actually. The inHarmony Sound Lounge is our biggest unit. It's ergonomically designed. It has 4 tactile transducers, which I'll show a picture of, and we can talk about this in a moment. This is the technology that actually transfers sound and converts it into vibration. This is what's against your body inside all of our technology. Our Sound Lounge has 4 tactile transducers in it. It's powered by a 300-watt amplifier. Our practitioner is designed to go on top of a massage table. It's designed specifically to augment body work, whether that's massage, acupuncture, acupressure, chiropractic, that sort of thing.
So while you're actually doing it, you're cool.
Absolutely. So I usually recommend it at a lower volume. Fantastic for chiropractic offices to, again, just regulate the nervous system. You come into a chiropractic office, you come into a massage therapist, you're bringing with you, your body is bringing with you your lifestyle. And that shows up in tight muscles. It shows up in subluxations. It shows up in your body not functioning the way that it was beautifully designed to function. And using our technology for 15, 20 minutes before an adjustment, before a massage, prepares the body and allows that body worker, that chiropractor, to dig in that much deeper and really calm and relax the body in a very powerful way. So the practitioner was designed specifically to go on top of a massage table or to go on top of an adjustment table. And then our meditation cushion, the smallest footprint, 2 tactile transducers, a built-in amplifier, built-in speakers. It's kind of our newest product that we just innovated back in 2020. And that's our 3 physical products. We call it meditation furniture or relaxation furniture. And then our 4th product is our app, which is designed to play music. It's a very simple app, but we use it to deploy our music tracks. We call them music meditations, and there are hundreds of them in here. And then we've got somebody full-time that's making music meditations. We turn out a new one each and every week. And then, of course, managing our app and the development of that app as well became a 4th product. the technology that drives it all, this tactile transducer, it's a fancy word for saying half a speaker is the easiest way for me to explain it. In here is a magnet. It's driven by speaker wire and speaker cable. It oscillates a certain number of times per second. A 20 hertz frequency is 20 oscillations per second. And that's how we can translate sound and frequency directly to the body. And all vibroacoustic therapy is going to be focused on sound as the delivery system and vibration. There are a couple of companies out there that are using pressure waves, which are more of a mechanical vibration, but still it's the same concept, shaking and vibrating the skin and the mechanoreceptors in the body. It does a number of different things as far as benefits. It increases circulation. The vibration itself sends a message to every muscle in the body telling it to relax. It obviously helps to reset the nervous system from sympathetic to parasympathetic. Most importantly, it feels amazing. Like your sound lounge experience when you're laying down, it's not like cold therapy. It's not like PEMF where you might not feel it. You're having a physical experience. And the last thing that I think is really worth mentioning is it activates your detox pathways. We live sedentary lifestyles. I can spend 8 hours in front of this computer easy without nothing but my Apple Watch telling me it's time to stand up, and I could just sit here all day. I have a rebounder outside. I'm jumping up and down. I'm going for jogs and runs. But if you're not getting active, the lymphatic system is staying stagnant, which is driven by gravity. And more importantly, more than 1G of force that is pressing down. When you run, your body is literally shaking out every lymph node in your body, which helps with lymphatic drainage, which is your detox pathway. And the sound lounge shakes all of that up. So there's a tremendous amount of value that comes from using our sound lounge and using our technology as we go.
That's amazing. It's amazing. Like my last podcast, we talked about like toxicity overload within the body, and all the different ways that you can mitigate and get the toxins out of you. But obviously, this would be an awesome way because you could not only, now my brain's going crazy because I'm thinking, wow, we could put this on a massage table, and then the massage therapist can do the manual therapy work on the muscle, which is also going to stimulate lymphatic drainage as well, plus the acoustic therapy with that. And wow, what a powerful combination that would be.
I love your thought process, and that's exactly where we're going. So again, we created the practitioner, the inHarmony practitioner, which is a product in January of 2018. And since then, look, we've got literally Kate Sagan, who's one of our affiliates and a really active one here in Las Vegas, is at an LMT event down in Phoenix that's happening right now and has the technology set up, teaching, training, and educating. She uses this in her practice. She's one of the fabulous humans that comes over here twice a month to do cupping and to help my wife and I with our bodies and how it functions. And it is a powerful combination in that. And she uses our technology because her hands are getting tired. She's been doing this for a long time, 20 plus years. And she knows she needs other modalities that can help her to do that, which is why she does cupping and is starting to get in acupuncture and acupressure. But yes, you hit the nail on the head. And a lot of times I'll turn the volume down, the vibration down. We have separate controls on all of our technology for the sounds you hear in your ears through speakers or headphones, and that of the vibration. And different tracks, different bodies, different situations call for different volumes and different intensity. Less is more. For all the purposes that we just shared, a lot of times people will get on for their first sound lounge experience and it will trigger a detox experience. You'll start to see the symptoms associated with the detox. It could be a low-grade fever. It could be mucus buildup. It could be body aches and pains. And you're like, wait a minute, I just did something that's supposed to make me feel good. Well, it's the activation of the lymph. It's the detox pathways that we are activating that have been stagnant for, in some cases, years or decades. And now all of a sudden you're turning that on. We're pushing that toxic load onto the body, and the body has to get rid of it. It has to go through the liver, the kidneys, sweat glands. It has to get rid of that toxic load. And a lot of times you'll feel tired. Now, it doesn't happen every time. People get on the tech and they have a great experience and they go about their day feeling lighter and more energized and that sort of thing. But it is possible to have that detox reaction to it as well. In the not so distant future, we will have a protocol, inHarmony vibroacoustic massage, and we will have a full therapy that's built from this, and it will be aligned with music and a MIDI player. And we've got some really big ideas as to how this can be used specifically for massage therapy and hands-on body work.
Super cool. And obviously you kind of got into some of the different things that you feel while you're on it, but like my experience, obviously, sometime with the binaural beats, it's almost like I lose kind of track of space and time. It's like, you're in it, and and you kind of feel like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit relaxed, and then all of a sudden, like, you're done, and then you're like, was I just out? But I don't think I fell asleep. Do they experience
Check the
that?
timer. Like, wait, did this track skip?
Yeah, like I
I've been there.
literally was like lost consciousness for 10 minutes, and then like you're like, it's kind of weird. Is that kind of similar?
Look, we can have a nice deep long conversation around consciousness and altered states of consciousness and that type of exploration, and our bed and our technology is phenomenal for that. And I can share a couple quick stories that are very worthwhile on that front. Here's the science behind that. Linear time, as you might have heard, and I'm sure your listeners have too, it's a human construct. It is perceived by the mind, and a very important one. We were both here at 12 o'clock on time so that we could start and we can connect. And of course, if we were in different time zones, then forget about daylight savings time. But like, it's a great way for people around the world to connect at the same time and agree as a race and as a population, like, hey, we're going to respect time, and here's how that looks. But other than that, the brain and the body doesn't know what time is. We don't know what a future or a past is. We only know the present moment. It's still really challenging, even as I teach this and talk about it on a regular basis, for me to even grasp this concept or idea. When you're in a beta brainwave state, you're calculating time and perceiving the world around you. Once you drift into an alpha brainwave state, no more concept of time. Theta, same. Delta, same. Gamma, same. No concept of time. So I have the same 3 words for somebody when they get off our technology. How is that? Because I never know. I'm not going to, hey, that felt like 3 minutes, right? Because you have people that do a 22-minute session and it feels like 5 minutes. You have people that get off a 22-minute session and it feels like 3 hours. And it's all about your perception of what you're experiencing, what you're going through. It's one of the most profound aspects of this. I had a gentleman, Nate Zelensky. He runs something called the White Dove Method. And Nate has spent, he meditates 2 hours a day, okay, without technology. Just that's part of his practice. He has traveled the world working with gurus and experts that aren't on Twitter, that aren't on Instagram, that aren't talking about what they're doing. These are people that have practiced this process over millennia and generations. And he's one of the few Westerners to know the concepts and the processes and philosophies that he now teaches through the White Dove Method. Incredible human being. He got off he probably did 25. He was just here for 4 days. I think he did 25 sessions in 4 days. Man. And he got off the first session and he sat down here in my office, and he kind of looked pale, and he looked almost defeated. And he sat down, same question, how is that? And he just looked at me with a puzzled look on his face, and he said, ineffable. And I said, like, words can't describe what you just experienced? And he looked at me and he opened his mouth and no words came out. And he stared at me for 3 minutes, 4 minutes. I mean, what was a really long time. And then you can kind of see him starting to come back into his body. He said, Craig, I astral project. This is a place that I go to on a regular basis. And he goes, I am always grounded and distracted by my body. Breathing techniques that I'm using to get into that state, my heartbeat that I'm, right? So when I'm trying to travel, I'm grounded into my body by my body functioning the way it's supposed to, or the technique that I'm using to get into that state. He goes, that didn't happen when I'm on the sound lounge. I couldn't feel my body. I couldn't feel the experience. I didn't know what was happening. And I was able to have one of the most profound experiences he's ever had on that session. Of course, he followed up with 24 more sessions after that and wrote and a great testimonial. So this tool, and I talk about this a lot, and I'm not trying to be cheeky. I'm not trying to market what we're doing. I talk about us serving 2 different markets. Those folks like me that are learning how to meditate, that can't meditate because they're so stuck in their head and their to-do list. And those that do meditate 20 minutes, or in this case, 2 hours a day, that have that regular process. Sound and vibration takes you there faster. It guides the body. And when those pathways are open already because you have a regular practice, you're able to go deeper, further, faster than you ever have before. It's still not something you need every day. He has a meditation cushion, but he's not going to use it every day. It's simply a tool that he's going to use to train himself to go faster, deeper, further, and to get into that meditative state more often. It's a really beautiful piece of technology and something that I'm honored and humbled by every single day as these testimonials and these reviews come in of people using our technology and how it's changed their lives. It's really powerful.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm certainly thoroughly impressed. I certainly am going to be trying to get myself a piece of the equipment that you are offering on one level or another for sure. I know that already patients are going to be asking me about this because they're going to be like, when are you going to get that thing for the massage tables? Because we want to drop in for sure, right? So right. For those that are listening out there, and this is going to be the obvious thing, how do people find out where your site is, how they purchase any of the technologies that we've been talking about today, or just, do you have any other social media sites or handles or anything else you want to mention to people?
So we're everywhere. We're a small team that gets an awful lot done. And I am grateful for our marketing teams that help us to get the word out and to get our message out. Our website is inHarmony.com, IAMINHARMONY.com. I am being the two most powerful words in the English language, because anything that comes after it, you are. I am inHarmony. And we're on all the socials: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube Shorts, Facebook, you name it, we're there. And I'm the guy on the other side of the comments. I'm the guy on the other side of the DMs. This is something that is really important to me, to be in that role. So we outsource a lot, and we've got a lot of incredible partners that help us to do incredible things. It's really important to me that I'm the one driving the conversation, messaging, replying to the comments. So if you want to reach out and you have questions for me, by all means, please do. Support at IAMinHarmony.com is the email address that's at the bottom of our website. Our 800 number is on our website. It rings this phone right here. We're really easy to get in touch with, and I absolutely want to hear from you. I hope that folks can come to your office and that becomes a place where they can learn about the technology and maybe even ask you for a discount code that they can use on our site. And again, honored to be here, grateful for this time. Thank you for asking these incredible questions. We got to dive into some stuff that I haven't spoken to here in public. So super, super grateful and honored to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I really, really appreciate your time. And like I said, we'll to get off here, you give me a discount code. We can probably get some people rolling over your site and utilizing those technologies. And Craig, it's been an honor. I've learned a lot today, and I can't wait to incorporate this into my personal practice because, again, I'm a go-getter. I'm a driver. I want to be healthy, but I want to be there and live that 100-year lifestyle and do it gracefully. So appreciate your time. 150.
Let's go to 150.
All right, let's do 150. All right, Craig, enjoy the day, man. Take care. I'll speak to you soon.